Now, Police Officer Bonginkosi Mtshali is currently on the stand at the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial. He was one of the police officers responsible for exhibits at Cleveland Police Station, where a firearm confiscated from accused number 3 was kept. He's testified that he would not accept an exhibit that was not properly sealed. Now, our reporter Manqoba Mchunu, following the proceedings there today in the High Court in Pretoria, is joining me now with the latest. Manqoba, good evening, welcome back. So, what came out of court proceedings today? I mean, yesterday we've heard about this firearm that was used to kill Senzo Meyiwa that was almost destroyed in 2017, still very much at the center of Mtshali's testimony today.
Well, certainly, Praten, but I think the link has not been made as far as how that particular firearm could, have been used or was part of that crime. But certainly what we understand from the evidence that we heard, the cross-examination of Bonginkosi Mtshali, is that, this particular weapon had been booked out back in 2020 by a forensic investigator, in fact, ballistic expert Christian Mangena, who, of course, was part of the team that investigated the Senzo Meyiwa murder scene. But also, just as it brought back that exhibit, this is when the investigating officer, Colonel Gininda, had also then taken this particular firearm for keepsafing. We understand, but then what he said is that he had then linked this particular firearm. This is what Mtshali had said in court, that this is after he had said that this firearm could possibly be linked to the incident that had happened at Vosloorus on the 26th of October in 2014. But what we heard from court, but then recall that yesterday we heard evidence that this firearm was actually confiscated in 2015, and this is when Thobisi Mncube had been arrested for a crime that did not have anything to do in particular with this case. And at the time of his arrest, this firearm had been confiscated together with 28 rounds of live ammunition. There were tests that were done on that firearm back in 2015, but you recall that in 2020, this is when then the investigators in this particular matter then taken that particular evidence. But what we understand, Praten, is that when this firearm arrived for ballistic testing, it had been in an open exhibit bag. And of course, you know that Mtshali spoke about how they always ensure that the evidence is well kept and that it's sealed. But from the statement that was read in court from Mangena, it does indicate, Praten, that in fact, when he received this firearm for testing, it had been open. But perhaps let's take a listen to what came out in court.
Nowhere you mentioned that Mangena took out the exhibits in an exhibit bag that was open.
It is indeed so. It doesn't appear in the statement.
That's where I'm referring to. Mangena was able to take out an exhibit from you, Colonel. Am I correct?
Yes.
In his statement, he mentions that the exhibit was in an open book. In an open bag. Do you agree with that it was in an open bag? Okay.
I do not. I do not concur with that. He himself should come and explain to the court as to how did it come about that he received a forensic bag that was not sealed. He should come and say that. Okay. And perhaps even provide the statement pertaining that.
In your evidence, it was in a sealed bag. Yes, when Mangena
yes, at the time that Mangena took it.
Yes, it was sealed.
I think the defense would not have been impressed, Manqoba, with the news that this firearm was transported. It was not sealed. It was open. What does this mean?
Well, but then what the defense is saying in this particular case, and I think this is an argument that they've been making in court, as far as the police procedure in handling of some of the exhibits in this particular matter, of course, they've been contending, Praten, that, the evidence, just from the crime scene, the bullet projectile that was found, as well as this particular firearm. We also know, Praten, that the tests on that bullet projectile were only done in 2020. This is when this particular analysis was being done. So what the defense have been contending is that perhaps there was tampering of that evidence and that there was planting of the evidence to frame these accused that are before court and to trump up a case against them. So this is what essentially the defense was asking Bonginkosi Mtshali as to whether there could have been a possibility that if that particular seal bag had been opened at the time for a period of 5 years, if they put it that way, given that it was collected back in 2015, this then opens an opportunity that there could have been an exchange that possibly happened, that this firearm might have been planted to then link this particular accused to the murder of Senzo Meyiwa. And of course, they contended that this cannot be ruled out by Mtshali himself, who also did admit that some procedures had not been followed to the T. But take a listen, Pretend, to that piece of evidence.
In the duration of 5 years, we don't know whether there has been any exchange in this exhibit, of which we do not have record. We do not have its record that it was sealed for the duration of 5 years. We don't know if there was any exchange of that document which was kept in an exhibit bag, of which we do not have evidence that it was sealed.
As far as 2015 to 2019 is concerned, I cannot assist you with answers there. I can only tell you about what happened, the account between 2019 to 2020, 2022 to 2022. And that, sorry, I'm not yet done. That Colonel Mangena came and took or booked out the item. Thereafter, booked it back, and then Colonel Geninda came and booked it out. That I can tell you. I can give account to that.
Yeah, and also thank you, Colonel, for that concession. And also, you cannot deny if there was if this firearm was exchanged during that period, because we don't know.
Advocate Mshololo there, cross-examining police officer Bonginkosi Mtshali, and ending that update by Manqoba Mchunu. Of course, the Senzo Meyiwa murder trial will resume on Monday in the High Court in Pretoria. We understand prosecution will be calling a new state witness.